episode.
Right on. Having a good week so far?
It's almost over. So yeah, we got Labor Day coming up. It's hard for it to be a bad week when you know you have the 3-day weekend coming.
That is true. I didn't find out about the 3-day weekend until like 2 days ago. But with my job, there's a really good chance I'll just end up working most of it anyway. So, oh well, we'll see.
That is rough. See, it was only until recently that I've learned this, the joys of having these like national holidays. I used to be in a position where I was always working them, so I'm kind of just taking advantage of it now by probably recording and working on our website a whole weekend. But you know, it's time well spent.
I am looking forward to seeing what you end up getting done with that website.
We have been updating the blog as well, so we're having a new layout for that, so that should be pretty cool. I'm almost done with that. The website is under construction because we have a lot of big plans for it. It's gonna be pretty cool. So yeah, we'll definitely be letting people know when that's out.
Sweet, I can't wait. Been a pretty crazy news week this week.
Yes, it has.
Bunch of stuff happened all at once, and I forgot about most of it. So tonight we're gonna be there's a video. The Young Turks. I showed you the video of the Young Turks getting interrupted by Alex Jones. I don't know how familiar you are with them outside of that.
They're in my. They show up. They pop up in my YouTube often because of the type of documentaries and stuff that I watch. You can't help but get some Young Turks and some InfoWars in the realm of research I do.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm hoping the audio comes through on the video, but their network put out a video essentially debunking libertarianism. You can go to the Young Turks YouTube page and watch it, but we're going to watch it and kind of talk about it a little bit, and then I want to talk a bit about Kaepernick for sure. And then I don't know if you saw where Weld was talking about. Well, we'll probably end up just watching the entire video of that too.
I'm always down to watch a Slick Willie Weld video.
Perfect.
Everybody should know that by now.
Yeah.
Where the government didn't interfere in your private life, where you paid minimal taxes and were free to do. Wouldn't you like to live in a world where the government didn't interfere in your private life, where you paid minimal taxes and were free to do whatever you wanted to do as long as it didn't infringe on others' freedoms?
Yes.
Well then, you might be a libertarian. Or you might not be a libertarian, but we're going to talk about it. So libertarianism is a sexy concept right now. You might have heard about it because of third-party candidate Gary Johnson, who called Donald Trump a pussy.
3,000-mile mountain bike ride here, upcoming. Trump's a pussy.
Or you might have heard about it from the Republican version of Bernie Sanders, Ron Paul. Or you turned into a libertarian overnight after completing Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. But what do libertarians believe in?
Ayn Rand hated libertarianism.
Well, the core value of libertarianism is small government, which is a vague concept meaning pretty much whatever any individual libertarian wants it to mean.
That isn't true. To start off, like, the core value is not small government. It's kind of like saying the core value of the military is peace. It's just not. It's not really at the end of the day. And the party, like, there's a debate whether we even need a small government or if there should be no government, and that's where you get like minarchist versus anarchist. So like, but it's debated. It's definitely not a core value either way in the party. Our like core value is basically the NAP and property rights, which are easily defined like individually. You know what I mean? Like it can't mean whatever you want it to mean. It means you own what you create, and you can't aggress against anybody.
Well, yeah, and this is starting out incredibly aggressive. I got it from the title with it being debunked, but this is I hope that going forward they actually start to present something, because so far all I'm hearing is really what sounds like a salty opinion. Like, this just really kind of looks like they're just throwing shade at the libertarians. That last little bit seemed all basically what I say about the generalized Bernie voters. That's what they just said about libertarians. But you know, I admit when I've said that. Anytime it hasn't had backing, I admit that's just an opinion. You know, I throw that as an opinion out there. I don't present it to you as a fact.
Yeah, that's not your like all-telling debunking of that position.
I don't make a video called Bernie Sanders Debunked and then just tell you that you all think, you know, this. You all just think what you want and say, oh well, what social What democratic socialism means to me is no, like that's is a personal opinion. You can't use that as a debunked video. So I hope that this is just the introduction.
That there's some meat to it, maybe.
Yeah, I hope that there's some meat to this, and it's not just a slash job.
Yeah.
So anything from keeping the government out of your bedroom to the privatization of almost every function of government, from education to the police force, can fall under the libertarian agenda. So it really shouldn't be a surprise that fiscally conservative Republicans are more likely to vote libertarian than Democrats. However, on social issues, some of the libertarian policy positions are actually more progressive than an Occupy Wall Street drum circle. The libertarian stance on social issues include making prostitution legal and legalizing all drugs, even the good ones.
So what's he saying that's negative so far?
Well, I mean, but it's a big fear move on this one. I mean, a lot of people are scared at the idea of all drugs being legalized. A lot of people, Christians, I guess I'm looking at you, essentially, would be, that's fine, is what you choose to believe, but there'd be a lot of Christians in this nation upset if prostitution was legal. They'd come out with their Bibles, talking about how bad it is and all, and that's fair. That's what they want to believe. I'm not saying that they're dumb or wrong for thinking that. My belief is, it's on record. I've said if you look good enough, people want to pay you to have sex with you, and you're down for that. I think it's fine. I don't see really how it's much different from a guy getting paid $80 million to play basketball. Some people may not they might not be able to see eye to eye to me with that logically. That's where I go with it.
Yeah.
So, but
there's a lot of Christians that identify as libertarians too, though. Like, they don't think it's not in the Bible that it's their right to dictate by force their beliefs. It's quite the opposite, and unless you're an Old Testament kind of guy. But yeah, so that's the difference between the Muslim religion and a lot of aspects and the Christian religion. But anyhow, so it's not a Christian principle of enforcement of beliefs, but he doesn't even talk about that either. Like, he's just making it sound scary, but most of the people that should be afraid of it don't agree that it's their right to dictate that upon you. The Crusades ended a while ago.
Did they?
Maybe not. I don't know. We'll just get restarted.
Force can fall under the libertarian agenda. So it really shouldn't be a surprise that fiscally conservative Republicans are more likely to vote libertarian than Democrats. However, on social issues, some of the libertarian policy positions are actually more progressive than an Occupy Wall Street drum circle. The libertarian stance on social issues include making prostitution legal and legalizing all drugs, even the good ones. Libertarians also believe that no military action should be taken against foreign nations unless the U.S. is attacked first. All of which sounds great to me. But what doesn't sound as great are libertarian ideals on the economic front. Libertarianism comes down to the belief that the principles that drive a free market economy can be applied to how humans govern themselves. It's this idea that an invisible hand that guides the free market will also drive human interaction with social order.
What else has driven social order? What got us to here? What brought the farmers out of the fields and into the cities that made us have to get along more so than we ever had to before because of that? Was it the multicultural crews building the railroads unfettered by government force, or was it the factories being built in the cities that had to have immigrant workforces working together? Because I don't think it was the government with Jim Crow laws that was doing it. I could be wrong.
Foundation is one that I disagree with, because when unchecked, man motivated by self-gain will not ultimately do the right thing. This is why there are criminals, those who commit crimes, even when there is a system that actively tries to prevent it. And then the whole purpose of civilization should be to ensure that everyone is fed, clothed, housed, and not to create conditions so that the few can secure a substantially greater portion of resources while others are virtually left with nothing. So
why is it that he gets to, or overall the Democrats get to paint the picture that libertarians picture a beautiful society where the 1% owns everybody else? Why do they get to own that stance and act like we're the ones that seek that out when they've had 8 years in the presidency and the 1% grew more so than any other point in time in history, recently at least?
Because pointing their finger at the Libertarian Party will maybe hopefully deflect. So, I mean, I don't know. You shouldn't throw stones if you live in a glass house, but that's all that either candidate has done so far is just huck stones from their
Yeah, but this isn't even like this. But they get to. I told you I was having brain farts all day today. It's not a candidate even throwing the stone. This is like a principle that Democrats, like even the voters, get to like stand on. They're like, oh, but in your society, it'll be this dystopia where businesses own everybody and pay slave wages. And you'll see on like websites and like these meme pages and stuff. Have you ever seen libertarians or like Americans Against Libertarians like Facebook page?
No,
they create some original memes. I'll give them that, but most of them are pretty easily actually debunked by presenting facts. Which this is how you debunk something: you present something, and then you present facts, and then you present empirical evidence. You don't just present a fact or a half fact and then a story that could result from that fact in your imagination. But yeah, no, they get to own this like message that in like a libertarian utopian society, it looks like a dystopia where the 1% is like owning everybody essentially, that businesses will go unchecked. And a lot of them will even claim that like the thing that will happen in a libertarian society is that they'll pay slave wages and then nobody will be able to afford anything. And you kind of want to like be like, well, if nobody can afford anything, who's going to buy the stuff that they're paying you slave wages to produce? Like, it's been innovation based off of wages growing, and that hasn't been because of the government. And unless you can show me where it has been, but he's not.
This, but no, it's just been a whole bunch of, again, just sort of generalized mudslinging. Not necessarily mudslinging. At one point, he said all those things that sounded like they were going to be nasty, and then said, which I love.
Yeah.
So
even you were like, yeah, it sounds kind of scary, man. And he's like, I love it.
Yeah, it sounded like he was making it sound scary, and he's like, yeah, I love it. For me, it was the heroin needle that was that imagery where I'm like, oh, they're trying to scare you.
Yeah, he said even the good ones don't. I was like, I haven't tried it, maybe.
He looks like he's tried it based on the attire, but I think that's what he's going for. Is like James Dean of news.
But it's the same like the mantra they get to push of this like dystopian reality that they've been creating, even like overseas though. Like it's not like Iraq or Afghanistan's economy have got. It pisses me off that they can own that, and they've been the ones creating the worst conditions we've seen. It hasn't been the free market doing this. The only way that you can do these things is when you own the people.
Yeah. I'm not surprised to see it, but yeah, I mean, it is frustrating, but at the same time, that's just sort of seems to be their low-hanging fruit, that because people fear what they don't understand, and so many people don't know the libertarian platform, and that there's infighting within the party even. So
yeah,
there's some debate on certain things, but it was like a couple of weeks back when I told you about that guy who I mentioned. I was on a libertarian podcast, or a podcast with a libertarian host, and he just went off about like, oh yeah, and basically called libertarians like nut jobs, tinfoil hat wearers, and so yeah, it's just sort of that generalized. So it's easy to sling this mud in this situation because so many people already don't understand it, and so they're just going to kind of run with whatever is fed to them about it.
Yeah, and that's what sucks when you own the narrative. You get to dictate what words mean what. But libertarian starts with liberty. You'd think you would be able to like distinguish a slave master class race not being able to exist in something whose root word is liberty. You know what I mean? You'd be able to think like those are contradictory. Like that's probably not accurate. I might be wrong, but probably not.
Right.
But because they own the narrative, they get away with it, and they can say those kind of inflammatory. That's all this is a bunch of inflammatory statements that are straw men in his.
In a libertarian society, who protects the unprotected? Who defends the rights of the defenseless?
Who's doing that right now? Tell me right now who's doing that, and then I'll concede this argument. Tell me who's protecting. Look at what we have right now. Again, it's just yeah. I see what you're saying. Absolutely now.
And who's attacking the minorities more than the Democratic Party that's in office, and that I'm assuming the Young Turks support getting back in office with the Clintons, other than the Clinton administration super predators that she put mandatory minimums, or he put mandatory minimums down on. So you've locked up more of these impoverished people, and then you've sent these police after them into their neighborhoods as if they're an invasive force. This has all been under Democratic rule. You have put these people in these scenarios, locked them in cages, ruined their record to where they can't get employed, and then somehow libertarians are the ones keeping minorities down in their, like, utopia? We're saying get rid of all that shit and let these people prosper under their own labor. But it just pisses me off how they own the narrative like that when they're the party that has done more damage than any other force could ever possibly do. What has the free market done other than innovate? When have they ever, when is it in the free market's interest to keep any minority down? When is trying to sell you newer and better cell phones or flat screens? Or is it the car safety that we see today? And that's not, talk about fucking Mercedes, the safety innovations they create, they don't patent. So anybody else can put them in their cars. Is that evil fucking capitalism at work? It's probably them making up for some war crimes. But just, you know what I mean though? Like, this isn't, the state isn't making them do that. And people want safer vehicles. With or without the state mandated regulations and stuff, people would want better crash tested vehicles.
Yeah, I'm not buying a car with airbags.
You love your kids whether the government tells you to or not. I'm sorry.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Like, car seats. They make you buy car seats, and there's a lot of research out there that shows that you're no safer in an accident with one. But we should talk about that sometime else when I have some numbers in front of me, because I might come off a little crazy right now. But yeah, like, that's the shit I'm talking about. And then you look at, like, the medical, like, aspects of it. Have you seen where the FDA is making, I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to find the name of it because it's kind of important. But it's an herbal supplement that people have been taking to substitute for, like, narcotics. But
what's it called?
Exactly. But no, you apparently could get it at, like, smoke shops and stuff like that. There hasn't been anybody, like, reported die from it or anything like that. I think there was somebody that had, like, a heart attack or something like that because they were on some other medications. But essentially, like, it's helped a lot of addicts, I guess. A lot of them, and it doesn't do the same negative effects as, like, your heroines and stuff like that do. But I should look up the name of it real quick, or while we're watching this or something, I'll look up the name of it because I want to talk about that because that's fucked up. They moved it, and they can keep it as a Schedule 1 narcotic, which limits all research that can be done on it for 2 years, just before they have to. And then if they find no, like, negatives with it, then it becomes marketable again. And if they find negatives, then they can do what they want and they can own that shit. And that's how the government creates it to where you're controlled and owned. It's not libertarianism. In a libertarian society, free markets exist where you can buy and sell those things that help people. This is something that's been out there for God knows how long, decades, that people have been using, and been no reported deaths of it or anything like that. And people are like, you need the FDA to make sure things aren't tainted. It's taking the FDA stepping in and fucking with people to fuck this shit up. It hasn't been the FDA there helping the innovation. Or you've seen the Dallas Buyers Club, right?
I actually have not seen that movie.
So the Dallas Buyers Club, like, the basis of that movie is the FDA had not approved this AIDS research medication that was super beneficial, and it was helping people a lot more than the drugs that were currently the most powerful but approved by the FDA. For whatever reason, you could still import them through Mexico, and you could distribute them through people and not get arrested for it, or, like, skirted the law enough that they weren't getting arrested for it, that, like, people were signing up to get the medication that way. But it was the FDA keeping these people from getting this life-saving medication that they basically had to buy a magazine subscription or what have you to get the medication. It was called the Dallas Buyers Club. Watch that movie because I'm giving a shitty synopsis of the movie, but it's a true story. And you look at what the FDA is doing now with this, or what they've done with cannabis, numerous other things that I can't think of right now that I'll think of later and get really pissed at the FDA again for. But yeah.
Libertarians acknowledge that a free market will drive a larger wealth disparity, which some believe will be offset by the trickling down of wealth and technology.
Is that not a contradictory statement? They acknowledge that it will create a wealth disparity. Some of them, however, believe that disparity will not exist because of trickling economics. So you're saying all of them agree that it's going to do this, but some of them don't actually agree with it. But you don't put it like that. Like you get they're setting the narrative and then they're saying why it's scary. And even when they're like giving you like the counterpoint that exists within the libertarian philosophy, which I don't know any libertarian philosopher that says it would create a larger wealth disparity. Again, look at what's happened under Obama in the last years, where the 1% have more money than anybody else. Yeah, that worked. That was really easy. Well. Where were we? It's booting up. That sucks. It said it didn't have the little red thing anymore, so I thought it was charging.
Yeah, I can't. Damn. Oh well.
It still has the red thing. What the fuck? 5% remaining.
Is that not working either?
It for whatever reason it wasn't taking power. It is now.
Huh.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
It says we're live.
We're still live.
I have no idea what's happening.
Checking
right
it
now.
out
It says we're streaming
live.
recording. That's funny.
Well, sorry about that brief hiatus there. A little power outage.
I want to see our live stream here to see what's happening in it, because I'm not taking this thing's word for it.
But if you're still there listening, we care about you. I wish I had some elevator music to play. We have.
That is so weird. So yeah, guys, my computer died.
Wow, that is fantastic.
It got a lot of that. I'm glad I didn't talk too much shit about anything in there.
I'm glad I didn't say anything too personal. Oh yeah, right.
Where were we though?
We were gonna go back probably to this video.
Yeah. Oh yeah, where the wealth inequalities came from the Democratic Party.
Yeah, we were at the typical.
Now, are those companies troops standing out in front of the businesses, or are those police officers that are created by the state and paid for by these people's tax dollars against their will? I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that these police officers don't actually work for those businesses or whatever they're in front of.
I'm gonna have to go with B on that one.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe they're owned by the state.
Okay. These fellas don't look like they're in what we would call a dictatorship by any measure either, do they?
Well, I mean, they look like they do, but they probably aren't representing one.
Okay.
Or maybe they are.
Fair enough.
Another libertarian belief is the idea that the government should not be allowed to impose its will on the citizenry. However, in a truly free market that promotes freedom of contract and deregulation, employers have a right to force rules that would never be permitted in our current democratic systems.
Name 3.
Nope, we're just gonna go past it.
Oh. I want to see. Did he not name anything? I don't want to think I skipped.
He named literally nothing.
Okay. Like.
Give me proof of that, please.
I don't think he understands how you present an argument. I honestly do not think he understands that you actually you say an inflammatory statement and then you back it up with a fact, or sometime you've seen it, or maybe a quote by somebody that's a libertarian. You don't just move on. Like, you can't just give a stream of like your thoughts about a subject. This is the same type of individual that when asked what democratic socialism is, starts the statement with, what was it, Kevin?
Well, what democratic socialism means to me is...
It could have came out of this cat's mouth.
It probably did. He probably was before his $300 haircut. But the thing that bothers me the most about that is, is what you said, but name one, because a lot of us have worked a lot of different jobs in our lives, and the rules are still a little bit different per employer. But what sort of thing, and who also, even if an employer can impose rules that wouldn't be seen today, that's their right. You don't have to work there. You can go find somewhere else to work, just like you can right now. So if I don't like the corporate rules I'm living under, I can go back to doing landscaping. I just have to suffer with the pay decrease and all that comes with it.
Let me tell you what it's like for somebody who works outside of government regulation, and that I'm a subcontractor. So I don't have all of these, what I would call rules that no real company would ever have, are actually imposed by businesses. I work for a company that pays me about the standard rate as any other cable company out there that installs, and you are like working directly for that company. You're not subcontracted. I don't have to pay into anything that I don't want to. I still, if I need something, it's there for me. You know what I mean? Like, he takes care of me. I'm taken care of as far as continuing to work. It's not like but there's no like crazy standards where I have to carry this or do that, or I don't get drug tested, anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
and I'm just
what
saying,
company without government regulations, and the government regulations in the insurance realm is, and most insurers require a company to drug test actual employees for the company, and that's why they do it. What company in a free market would keep people from smoking weed or doing coke on a weekend if that employee was productive for them?
Yeah, they wouldn't. They would. Exactly.
So there's a rule that exists now. It's not a libertarian society that I am 100% certain will be gone free of the government, because it is gone when the government isn't involved. Construction sites, things like that. Are you shitting me right now? It goes on, and these people aren't poorly paid. Look at how many undocumented people in our area lay brick and drive the nicest vehicles around. So in a world void of these crazy rules, people thrive. When's the last time you saw one of these bricklayers knocked out by falling bricks, or because they had poor safety equipment?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So they're void of these rules, crazy rules and regulations, and they're still doing fine in a hazardous environment. I will give you an example at least. I don't know. Give me an example in retort, please. Like now. Because that's the real world. So is his counterpoint, in my society, everybody should be able to live wherever they want, do whatever they want to do, and have all of these nice things?
I think so. I think he's just promoting the fairy tale. But can you actually rewind I want to hear how he said you can't deny something. I want to hear, because again, it's just more, there's nothing to back what he's saying, and I just want to hear the bullshit some more.
Okay.
Can you go back? Actually, it was the sentence.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Are you rich?
Are you not seeing our current reality, guy? Everything you said sounded like the world I exist in right now. I know people in my day-to-day that are going to jobs every single day that they hate, that they're being forced to work for one reason or another. This doesn't sound like what you're doing is you're pitching what we have right now as if it's as if it's the libertarians' fault.
Unless he's
or if it's their future idea.
Unless like he's against everybody that isn't for that like minimum income. Unless that's his position. But it's just give me a counterpoint. Give me something. It's
just give me something instead of just pitching me what sounds like what we have right now and telling me that's a bad future.
Exactly. Oh. Here, let me give you a non-dystopian picture. North Korea, the USSR, East Germany.
Hey, in our debunking video based on no facts so far, we will now use film to promote our anti-libertarian. This is a joke, right? Was this like, am I being punked right now? Is there a camera in here?
Venezuela. No, this is, and that's what I'm saying. The best they can do is write a narrative to support their narrative. They can't give you any. It just pissed me off. I wanted some evidence. I want to be sold. He shows we're in outer space, so we've made it a little farther. Also, is he showing District 9 now? That's not
he's showing the Elysium trailer and telling you if you want to learn more about libertarianism, watch Elysium.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because your knowledge is in my best interest now. I am now guiding you to watch a movie and telling you to base your opinion on these people based on that movie.
Wouldn't it be funny if he like told you to read a book about libertarians or maybe
or like, you know,
this is what one of the crazy libertarians has to say.
Yeah.
Check out Ron Paul's and the Fed.
Yeah, exactly. Anything like that. Give us one piece of actual work where a libertarian is speaking, even if you think they sound crazy. Go if you want to find an outlier. I'll even be a little bit more okay with that. If you want to find a guy in the libertarian fringe who makes all libertarians look bad and say, hey, look at what this guy did. Read this to learn more about their movement. I will at least give you some credibility there.
I can give you some Rothbard to read that will do that. And I love Rothbard.
And that's what I'm saying. You could have done that. I mean, you took, but instead you went and pulled a trailer and said, let's go watch Elysium. That'll treat you. Like, this is bad. To me, this is what journalism is now, huh?
I suppose so, at least for the young Turks.
This is a debunked video.
Which is, never mind.
I like that they threw a little, what they pulled from that video right now you're seeing, that's from Crash Course History, which is a legitimate channel. You should listen and follow to them. That dude is brilliant, and he will teach you some real things about history.
Okay. All right. I'll check that out. I'm going to rewatch this little. Isn't it funny that we've came closer and closer to a monarchy the farther and farther we've came from like the institution of the Constitution, and as government slowly taken root and as these social welfare programs have taken hold? Isn't it a little weird that you now see wealth disparities well beyond what it was when the Industrial Revolution was taking place? Pre-FDR. Isn't it a little weird that you see that now? We're talking about returning to a monarchy. Isn't the monarchy just an arm of control? And wasn't their rule of enforcement not having property rights, that they own the property by divine right, and that you owe them a tithe? But now instead of divine right, it's for the greater good, I guess. But it's the same result.
I see what they're just framing the argument against the libertarians as if, they're gonna, as if they're going to become the new kings and queens. Like we don't already have kings and queens over here, essentially, and dukes. And if you look at our system, it feels a little bit like the feudal system to me still.
Yeah. What is a centralized power structure other than? So here's the other thing. Before I let him get into that, if literally if there was thousands and thousands and thousands of people in disparity to the point that they were rioting, in a libertarian society there wouldn't be a military control arm to be summoned to protect those businesses. I mean, it's not like these businesses own the military.
Right, they would have to go out and hire one.
Do you know how expensive that is? I mean, you're creating jobs, but do you know how expensive that is? That shit costs money. And then you're going to go to war with your customer base? Are you shitting me? Like, there's no understanding of economics or how money changes hands or how society functions by the exchange of goods and services. We have our friends, but outside of that, you don't have this huge network of people. And the only reason you do is to exchange goods and services. I mean, it's not for enlightenment. But tell me exactly how it's like communism and how communism isn't state rule for the social safety net. Because he just said that we should at least have a social safety net, and libertarians hate the social safety net, but communism is the ultimate social safety net. So please tell me more. Mm-hmm. You have named no noble qualities of this fictitious libertarian idea so far, other than they want to legalize all drugs. And they're pro-gay marriage. He doesn't even say the Libertarian Party. He says the Republican Party. And that as if the Republican Party is the Libertarian Party.
Well, I think that what he's insinuating is that the Republican Party is in a place where it may crumble and the Libertarian Party will take its place.
Oh, okay.
I think is what
thought he was saying that's the result of it. Oh.
So the issue that I have here once again is what about it seems to me that a lot of people are making the argument, hope I don't get locked up for this one, that our democratic republic has crumbled when applied. Look at it now from where it started. You just sort of, almost similar to the argument that you just made, we hear all the time the rhetoric of, why are we basing our lives on a 200-plus-year-old document? Well, that statement in its very self kind of shows you how our created system has in one way or another failed us, just because most people believe that it has failed them or that they shouldn't have to adhere to a 200-year-old document. That's neither here nor there for me at the moment. But you're making the argument that, communism failed when applied, libertarianism would fail when applied. But, I could easily actually make an argument and present facts to you to show you how ours may have failed us, but it's just, so again, it's more of sort of like a boogeyman, like look over here thing. That's what I feel this video is. Let's not point out I didn't feel like I learned anything from this. I'm going to be honest. As a debunked video, I learned nothing.
No, that is definitely true.
I learned how easy it is to fool people. Apparently you can just say whatever you want, make it up, have no facts to support it.
Yeah, it pisses me off, and you won't find a monopoly without government intervention. I mean, the only way a monopoly even exists is if a company in a libertarian society can provide a good at a rate that everybody can provide or afford to keep them in that power. That is also good enough that they still want it. I mean, that's how you have niche creators that even though you have all these car companies out there, will still create a customized car for you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So just every step of the way that he can't give me one point in which the mechanism creates the result. He just he draws his own little picture. It just upsets me.
Well, yeah,
I wish I was firing tonight. I just can't.
I'm just hoping we can get to the SoundCloud quickly enough to get this uploaded. I have a feeling that they're not going to let this stay on YouTube for very long.
I hope not.
If it had been a puff piece, maybe. If we had been like, "Oh, Young Turks, good job, great job."
Yeah, Young Turks.
Fair Use Act.
No. Speaking of Fair Use Act, how pissy is the NFL? Because I want to talk about Kaepernick.
Segway King. So did you see? So he's ruffled feathers all over the place for different reasons now. Did you? And I'm sure you have seen what he did most recently.
Yeah, I saw the pig socks. I'm a fucking fan. Go on.
So that has been huge. He also now has a meeting with a Green Beret to discuss social injustices. So love him or hate him, the plan worked. Okay, now. There are going to be people that are going to get real fired up over these pig socks. But you know what? I'm sorry. I'm laughing at the pig socks. I'm getting a close look at them. And it just, the way he's throwing the ball, it almost looks like he also has his middle finger up on the left hand. And the picture is just, they really are worth 1,000 words sometimes. This statement is more incendiary. Okay, the first one. Now, again, I personally don't have a problem with this as a person who's been arrested for essentially telling a cop to fuck off. I fully believe in this man's this is better. This is a better way to tell him to fuck off, I guess. But there are people who are going to get upset about this one. I don't see how anyone – I see exactly how people got upset about him sitting down for the national anthem, but – also, I don't feel like that one was incendiary. That one's more like you're just doing what you believe. This one, he's being a bit more aggressive here.
Yeah, he's like
so much more aggressive.
Okay, I sat in silence and you did this. Okay, now I'm going to paint some pictures. Now I've got you. I'm glad. I guess I shouldn't be surprised we're on the same page with it, but yeah, I love this shit. Normally I'm against like this kind of inflammatory stuff though, and like I'm against like flag burning and stuff like that just because it's super inflammatory, but like, and I don't know if like you've seen why he said he sat down during the national flag. He basically made it about Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
So I think he's a little uninformed. I didn't know about this Green Beret. I really hope that he's a decent guy that gets a hold of him and can kind of steer him, since we can already see he may be going down a decent road here with it and have a microphone to do it.
Right.
Hopefully he doesn't go down the path that a Kanye might go.
Well, and it should be noticed, and I will probably be the one that I will point this out because I follow football a lot more closely than you do, and so it's worth noting that here's a guy who lost his job and is now a backup, and is sort of his future in the NFL is sort of up in the air. So I won't put it past him. I don't believe that this is just a publicity stunt. I also recognize, though, that there are people in this world who adhere to the idea that there is no such thing as bad pub. And, the pig socks, I didn't feel that way at all until the pig socks. And again, like I am always torn on this fence because
I know, that's why I'm a little surprised here.
I still... It's not a move I would ever make, and I think it's counterproductive to what he's trying to do.
This is where we'll disagree. Go on.
But I support the fact that, like, that if that's what he wants to do, no one's dying here. Again, like I don't understand why people get up in arms for flag burning. Do I think it's stupid because it gets a lot of people riled up for literally no reason? Absolutely. This one, again, I kind of feel like he was on a good path to potentially rebound from all the negative things that were getting thrown out of him and actually come out looking good in this situation. And I don't see that happening now. Yeah. But again, I support the First Amendment because it's there to protect the speech that I don't like from other people. Yeah. So whether or not I like this, I love it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love it too. I'm a little surprised because you in the past when I was like fuck the police a little bit, like, well, not fuck all the police, and I'm like, no, fuck the police, fuck all the police.
Well, I still believe that on an individual basis. I
still 100% disagree with you. And here, like, I feel like I struggle with this a little bit because I am so against like the flag burning. I wouldn't say against it. It's your right. Do what you want to do. I don't think it's productive. And I think because it represents so many more people than the police being portrayed as a pig does. I feel like you're targeting everybody. This is more targeted. And not only that, like the flag actually stands for a lot of decent things, but that are spoken up about by people that also believe in it a lot. And if you're the police right now, like you stand for pursuing people to create your job, for locking people in cages for nonviolent behavior with no victim. And if they feel like they have the right to defend themselves from being kidnapped for a nonviolent behavior, then you're okay with killing them. And not a single cop is out there in the headlines today saying, yeah, I'm not okay with that. Not a single cop is okay with getting wrote up for not enforcing these laws. Not a single cop is out there saying, hey, we need to change these and screaming about it. They're all okay with doing it to get their paycheck. And that's why I'm still okay with saying fuck the police until I can say fuck the police except for the thin gray line or whoever fucking, if a segment would come out and be like, hey, we're actually not going to do this. And here's the thing, when it's their people being pursued instead of black people being pursued or minorities or the way I see it, poor people being pursued, when it's their people, when after Eric Gardner was killed in New York, you remember that over the cigars.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he got killed for selling untaxed cigarettes. So they killed a black man for selling untaxed cigarettes. A couple days later, in what looked like a retaliation, somebody shot in the back of the head 2 police officers in a car. And I think de Blasio was the mayor. Does that sound right, of New York? Either way, the mayor of New York didn't give the statement the police wanted him to give. So what they did was they basically had a work stoppage. And I'll just bring up the link about it. But yeah, essentially when they felt like they were the ones being targeted, when they thought that something was happening against them that was unjust, they were completely okay with standing up against the law. They were completely okay with not enforcing these laws. So it's not like they don't even have the precedent of doing that when they see it as a moral thing to do. They will do it when it's in their interest. But when it's in the public's best interest instead of their pocket's best interest, they'll just keep ignoring it. You know what I mean? So that's why, yeah, fuck the police. And that's why I love this inflammatory behavior, because we need to make police a dirty word if we want to change the police. I don't think you're going to, everybody sees stuff happen, they're like, they're the police. They'll take care of it. No, they're police. We worship them. You know what I mean? We need to change that. And having somebody in the headlines actually speaking out about it, if they can make a valid fucking point and not just scream Black Lives Matter, that's going to be something awesome to me. And I don't care if he's doing it to save his job. I really don't. As long as he can actually, if this guy gets a hold of him. But I wanted to show you this. I hope I can find it. I just wanted to show you. Their exact quote was, the post obtained numbers hours after revealing cops were turning a blind eye to some minor crimes and making arrests only when they have to, since the execution style shootings of the officers. So literally, why else would you arrest them other than when you have to? It wasn't like we saw New York burning down the next day when they started doing this shit. And this was all from their union calling them to do it. Yeah. And they said it wasn't a stoppage, it was about safety concerns. But fuck that shit. It was about them not getting their way. It's not like we saw a bunch of cops dying days following because of the statements by the police. The only thing that went down was traffic violations, parking violations, overall arrests, and criminal court summonses. And the city didn't burn down. They lost a lot of money, and that's what made them have to start back up, though.
Yeah, well, that's definitely true. They had to have lost a lot of money in that time. We sort of just see where I think what I think about this is sort of if you this is like sort of poking the bear kind of. I don't see while I understand that the concept, we need to make the police a dirty word, we need to, that's the only way it's going to change. What I feel like, if that is a mindset that on a grand scale is very easy for people to be misguided, and you see things like this, like the shooting of 2 officers, where the more that stuff happens, one of 2 things could happen.
That was back in 2009.
I agree with it. Okay, yeah. But what I'm saying is, as a Dallas, then, if that I'll use a recent one. or just any of the multiple recent ones. It's either maybe they will all quit their jobs and then they'll have to start from scratch, or maybe they get more money and more funds pumped into them, and maybe, just maybe, they use our largest standing military on earth and convert some of them into police officers, and then we have a real shitstorm to deal with that will be even. Well, I'm not saying it's good now. I'm saying I want to make sure that people don't make it worse by that people think their actions through. Now, I'm not saying that about this sock incident, for instance. I'm saying that just ideally, overall, the fuck the police rhetoric may not work. It could go one of two ways, is the way I see it.
People filling boots is never an issue. Like, if it's not the military, it'll be stupider and stupider people. They already turn away people that are too smart. So I'm not really worried about that's a fact.
Really?
But yeah. Or too qualified is what they'll call it. Overly qualified.
So what do they do to those people? They don't even
you don't get a job.
They're just like, nah.
Nope. Don't get a job. So, like, I'm not worried. Yeah.
That's a lot.
So, yeah, I'm not worried about the military coming in and filling the boots afterward. I want everybody to be like, we don't want these boots filled. We're going to quit giving them their money. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's going to come down to that.
That I am down for. I am down for. Everybody's saying, you know what? If everybody agreed to stop paying their taxes tomorrow, I'd be like, all right, that is the way you can get some change moving.
You only need like a small percentage to agree to do that. It doesn't take everybody. It takes like a few percent of the Americans to do it, but they'll just lock them up.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. The military gets involved no matter which path you take.
Yes, but if you don't strike first, then people are going.
They're going to make it look like you strike first, no matter what path they take it. If it's because you didn't pay your taxes, or if it's because you spoke up too loud, they're going to say you struck first.
Yeah, that's fair.
Before they lock you in that cage.
That is fair.
So I strike however you want. You're automatically, because they control the narrative, you are already the aggressor, and that's how it's seen. That's like, well, you shouldn't have broke the law to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what, you're the aggressor.
Well, if you don't have anything to hide, why do you care if the NSA reads all your shit?
So, in my opinion, just keep poking the bear. The bear's already out.
Yeah, fuck the bear.
That's kind of where I am with it. I don't
sold.
see
You
any other way.
Mind.
I'm not saying that. I hope one day. But I don't see any other way to do it other than poking it from every direction possible until it's just it kills itself from being like enraged.
Phrasing. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. When you said poke it from every angle, I went into a completely different show.
I know you did. And honestly, that way too. Fuck the police, like I said. Literally, figuratively, it's a bear. It's just there to eat you. No, so I don't know. Like I said, this week has been a total funk for me. So I do apologize for anybody that happened to tune into this episode. The other thing I kind of want to talk about was, I don't know if you saw, or I was telling you about it anyway, but there was a veterans forum that they came out and said that Johnson was not going to be allowed into the debates that they were holding. It's the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. First announcement was that they invited Gary Johnson to its commander-in-chief presidential forum. I think when I was telling you about it, I called it a town hall. The way it was worded made it sound like he was going to be able to join it and be on the same stage with Clinton and Trump. After the good headlines, because everybody was like blowing them up, like, you need to let Johnson into this. So after they were getting blown up about it, they were like, yeah, we're going to let him in. And they worded it kind of funny, but nobody noticed. And then like hours later, it comes out that he's going to be in a separate forum, separate from Trump and Hillary. And they might as well call it, if they're not going to let the most anti-war candidate, and I hate Johnson, but he, so far, other than the Green Party candidate, seems to be the most anti-war that we have. If you're not going to let him on the stage, then he may as well be the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America for more Iraq and Afghanistan veterans from America. What's the forum about? What you're going to do for the injured troops that keep coming back? Or is it going to be about how do we quit making more of these troops? So I don't get the purpose in purposely leaving them out unless they are funded in part, at least, by some pro-military group out there or interest group out there, especially since Johnson's pulling highest among veterans and active military. out of everybody. Why is this doing this again?
It makes you sort of think maybe that, that would almost have to be it, because it does seem kind of odd. Yeah, since he's doing so well with them, why wouldn't they want him there unless they're really tuning up a special thing just for him? And this is bad. I don't like him either. I'd rather see him up there, one, for personal entertainment, but two, just because this whole point has been about, doing away with the two-part. Like, throw Jill Stein up there too. What the fuck? Why not?
Yeah.
Like, let her get her 2 cents in.
Well,
like,
they're talking about him and her being on the separate.
The separate one. Yeah, they get to sit at the kids' table. And that's entertainment-wise. That's the other reason I would want to see this. I mean, I don't know if you have ever been around a family with 3 brothers in the same household, but it seems to me like Trump and Clinton would be the older siblings having a conversation, constantly telling Gary not to butt in, and he'd be just like the little kid, someone holding
Hey guys, hey, I'm just like you and you a little bit too.
Yeah, and then Trump he'd be holding his head down while he's like jumping up trying to reach them both.
Clinton's just rolling her eyes.
Yeah.
You should just paint political cartoons.
No, Clinton's sending a text message on her phone, and then it's probably good for Gary that he's not on this. He's not on this stage, because we might find him die from some tragic weightlifting accident weeks after.
Yeah, he's going to be on one of these mountain climbings.
Yeah, he is set up for an accidental death. He really is. He needs to quit.
He does not recognize the danger he's putting himself into. And as much as I'm even against him getting on that stage, at the same time, I don't want to see it be because of that. You know what I mean? I don't want him to get the stage because I don't think he's going to spread a libertarian message. And I want him to falter because of that, though. And then I would like somebody next 4 years from now to come out and be like, hey, he wasn't a really libertarian. I am. And this is why, because that's the only hope we have now. I don't really care what he does in the presidential debates. If he doesn't make it into them, I'll be kind of happy because we'll get some good press out of that. And it's all of the bad press of him flandering around. Again, I just don't want it to. I hate seeing this kind of play, and you need to call it out.
You think they'll just slip Bob Weld in there for the debate?
Bill Weld.
Bill. So I call him Bob. Oh yeah, it's Slick Willie. Man, why'd I call him Bob? Sideshow Bob Weld.
Yeah.
I feel like they'll have to share a podium, and they'll just cut Gary's mic off occasionally that Billy can answer.
It would make more sense. He just came out that he was cool with the fucking. We'll just pull that up. We're not gonna watch that video, but yeah, he basically said he was cool with the mandate that was in the AMA Act.
He sounds like he'd be down for a mandate of any kind. I mean, what was he thinking? He was what with that secret police he was gonna have?
He just meant he'd be down to go on a date with a man. I didn't even realize that mandate was punny.
Was it?
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize mandate sounded like that. You pervert. But you didn't mean it. It was just my own brain.
Oh, double joke. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, I definitely... Yeah, and he basically said the only flaw that he saw within the ACA was the mandatory feature, or not the mandatory feature. He didn't see that as a flaw, but the lack of diversity in the markets. But he doesn't talk about how that was created by them not letting out-of-state insurers cover you and things like that. He says it's a lack of diversity in the markets. But you want a really diverse market, why don't you get rid of it entirely? And then every consumer of medical goods is suddenly in the market.
Because that's not how they did things when he was governor.
Why don't we just turn the insurance... Exactly. And it's funny because he's governor of the same state as Romney, if I recall. But, yeah, where Weld initially said he was for much more competition in the marketplace, continuing on to say that he believes patients and doctors should be making more of the decisions in the system instead of the government and insurance company. That's maybe the worst thing about Obamacare. So that's what negative he had to say about Obamacare. It wasn't the unaffordability, the no out-of-state competition, the fact that they couldn't have even built a fucking website. It wasn't or how it was rigged to begin with to fail so they could come in and say, we're going to have to control all of this. And that's what's going to happen. He's not even talking about the long game that they're proposing. I believe that it was built to fail from the beginning so they could get their foothold and everything else. They're going to be like, look, we have to control this, this, and this. But why aren't you talking about what it would look like if people bought insurance for what insurance was created for? And that's just catastrophes. What if you talked about either eliminating the FDA, if you want to go my route, or completely overhauling the FDA to the point where it's bare bones, so it doesn't cost forever and a day to get medicines on the market or things like that, talking about the Dallas Buyers Club and shit like that again. Why aren't we making it easier to bring medication onto the market instead of harder for these companies? Why aren't you doing that kind of thing there? And then if everybody out there is paying out of pocket for these drugs and stuff, aren't you going to significantly have to change how you market them and sell them? With the prices, if you're not knowing you're going to sell it to either a federally backed insurance company or a consumer-backed insurance company that's going to negotiate with you and then pay these super high premiums because they're still trying to turn a profit. You know what I mean? Like, if it was just me and you that went in there and bought I don't want to say Xanax, but it's the first pill. I don't even like Xanax. I don't know why that's the first pill I want. I was looking for a azithromycin. That's what I was looking for. But yeah, if we want to go in there and get a prescription for antibiotics, that should be on us. You know what I mean? Like, why do we have to go through all the hoops and ladders? Well, it's because of the FDA. And they were talking about there to like keep things pure and things like that. But so many things slip through now that never, if it was a privately ran where you were like, I trust this company puts it through all this. Also, maybe I signed a contract with this company where if I got sick, they were going to take care of this and this or that kind of thing there. Along those lines. But now, I mean, you have everything. It's a clusterfuck, and you're not talking about that. You're saying, well, actually, I think the government can do a pretty good job of it. We just need to do this.
Well, that's been his stance on almost everything, really.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the least libertarian guy in the room, no matter the room.
So maybe he will be on that stage, I guess is what I was getting at. I really would like to do an entire, half episode on the FDA and why a lot of people think it's crazy to say that you should end the FDA.
I want to do an entire episode of how much I hate Obamacare. I mean, even down to the name. I can't remember. I'm sure, the only other thing that comes to mind is the Monroe Doctrine. You're just a dude out thirsty. He's thirsty. He's that dude at the bar just hunting for his legacy all night. He's like, something is going to stick, goddammit. Y'all are going to remember that I was here. But you know what I mean? How vain is it? Obamacare. That's the best thing you guys
acted
had.
All coy, that wasn't what it was called, and then he just started calling it. Yeah, right.
It's God, you know what? I'm glad I still have the right to say, go fuck yourself on that one, dude. That's shitty. You're just you're gonna be in history books, man. How much more did you needed to name the shit after yourself? Well, and that's not even getting into the actual policy. That's just a pure vanity argument.
And everything he said about the policy was a fucking lie. We can talk. I'm sure we'll get a chance this election cycle. They'll start talking about Medicare and Medicaid and everything else. It'll get brought up. We'll get the chance to talk about it because I definitely would like to a night where I'm not talk about it.
And then I can talk about how I think us battling natural selection is a bad thing. Just let people die, damn it. That sounds way too close to a eugenics movement.
Speaking of movements that happened with the help of the government, do you want to talk about forced sterilizations of women? Or there's so many routes you could take that wouldn't happen in a free fucking market that the government was able to do. We were almost fucking Nazi Germany. If we would have gotten the picture of what it looked like, we were almost there, dude. Right at the same time they were doing that shit. We were into eugenics. We were into all that shit.
We came up with the idea first in the early we didn't stop our national eugenics meetings until the Germans adopted the policy. It wasn't until Nazi Germany picked it up that we put it down. It was founded by Charles Darwin's nephew.
When are the socialists going to do the same thing?
And it was backed, by us the whole time. And you're also incredibly right. Smedley Butler, who wrote the former U.S. general who wrote the book War is a Racket, was asked to lead a coup of 500,000 American soldiers to overthrow FDR.
That's beautiful.
In the name, basically, of a Nazi regime. It was funded by Prescott Bush, Poppy's dad, and the pretzel choker's dads. A lot of people tied to it. So, yeah, we were very close to being Nazi Germany.
Yeah, no, and that's why I'm for a smaller government, so that can't occur. Because that only occurs with a large central power structure and a devoted nationalist following.
And that was my problem with Bernie, because Bernie could have been the nicest guy ever, but what happens when the next guy in line? Then you were just one clever Hitler away.
Or, even if they have the best of intentions, at the end of the day, if they think they're doing it for the greater good. It doesn't have to be. It could have been Bernie Sanders that pulled the trigger. At the end of the day, if you're think it's a greater good, if you're autistic, in my opinion, that you're willing to sacrifice that many people for your utopia and completely ignore how it's gone every other time. I don't know what else to call it. Maybe I just see a little of him and me. I don't know. We should probably wrap this bitch up, but did you see where before, like in 1940s, kids were saluting the American flag when they said the pledge? I want to see if that's real.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
Oh, shit. That just shows you. And that's why I'm not really pro-nationalism, because I think that's what leads to the ability to do the shit they get away with.
I also think one day we should show and this has already been declassified and everything, that when MK Ultra was a thing before they shut it down, there is actually a video that you can watch if you slow it down. It was played in the 60s and 70s after a lot of programming. It was a Star Spangled Banner, and there's actually subliminal messaging in it.
Oh, good.
Like the way it spells out the words across. You can find this on YouTube. It's very easy to find. And you would have to just, and if you slow it down, you watch. The words scroll across the screen. It's a little hard to describe over the radio, but the words scroll across the screen. But what you'll notice is letters that aren't involved with the word that it spells out. Like sometimes you'll see a letter T, even though there's no letter T in the Star Spangled Banner as it's putting the words out. And if you slow it down enough and take out a pen and paper, you can spell out the words, and it says things like God is watching, believe in government God, obey, consume.
Is this it?
Possibly, yeah, that's the one.
Okay, we'll just end on this.
Are we going to screen share this? Yeah, hopefully it's slowed way down because yeah.
It will be. My connection was not expecting live streaming tonight, but it's totally worth it.
But yeah, this is interesting, and and this is a thing that the government has admitted to and said, like, look, we tried this, we're sorry, we definitely don't do it anymore. So what some would choose to believe is that they disclose this so you won't see what else is going on, and that they just got better at hiding their methods. But I don't know what the CIA is doing. They know what I'm doing. Maybe, and probably somebody knows what I'm doing.
Jesus.
We're not hard to find.
He watches you when you wank.
See, yeah, it does it fast. No, it'll do it fast. Yeah, and then it's gonna slow it down.
It's not letting me go full screen for whatever reason.
Oh, that's all right.
Or the land of the free.
Don't question government.
Oh wow!
See it? Yeah. This is gonna be interesting. Thank you to thecount.com for this.
Is this been looked into or debunked?
I've everything I've seen has just been videos trying to prove it.
Okay. Oh, say can you see by the.
But do you see? Believe in government.
Yeah.
Yep. It's gonna show it to us.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
this would have taken a lot of work pre crazy good computers and stuff.
And here's the list of things that it said, and that's what you have. What I want to
say. Sorry, I wanted to tell them.
Oh yeah. We'll tell the for the radio listeners.
Some of the messages that apparently appear in this, we'll see how many we can see in it. But some of them say, "Buy, believe, obey, consume, rebellion is not tolerated, believe in government God. God is real. Trust the U.S. government. Rebellion is not tolerated. Believe in government God. Yeah, the real God is watching.
Do not question government God.
That's
So what I'd love to do is find someone in the 60s, and someone I know that has lived in the 60s and play this for them and see if that's the way I'd like to debunk it. There's no way for me to figure out. I mean, there's probably a way. What so proudly we hailed. God is real. God is watching.
Yep, that is.
Believe in government God.
That's.
There it is
it's
again.
It's government God again.
Rebellion will not be tolerated. You can tell I've watched this a lot.
Yeah.
Because I didn't believe it at first.
It's very shadowed in, and rebellion will not be tolerated. It's just shadowed in as the words transition in and out. It shadows in as the transition.
Yeah, it's very, very subtle. Obey, consume. Trust the U.S. government.
That's crazy. And this is overlaid on the national anthem that was just played after every show.
Yeah, and then if you go back and watch it quickly, you can't see. You can hardly see. Every once in a while, you'll see a T that sticks out where you're like, well, there wasn't a T in that sentence. Why'd they use it? You might catch a letter or two, but you don't.
God is real, God is watching. Yeah, these are like...
And what people don't understand about our brain is your subconscious is on all the time. It's constantly receiving information. That's why when someone tells you don't think about a banana, that's when you think about a banana because,
it's already in there.
Yeah, because the subconscious just took it. It's already there.
Yeah, your brain is filtering what it needs to see, not actually what it is seeing. Like
some really, there's another one. What was that? God is watching. Let's see.
This is terrible for the audio listeners, but it's just words getting changed into
consume,
shit.
Obey, consume. Yeah, so we'll have to we'll have to do something here for you audio listeners. I mean, we're glad you stuck through us with that.
Yeah, do appreciate it. We'll put the link to this in the show
This is a
notes.
reason to watch us on YouTube.
Yes, that's true. At 60 Degree Radio.
For those of you listening, wondering, like, why do you guys even bother with YouTube videos? You're a podcast. Well, this is why. So we can share a couple of things with you guys.
Yeah. But you can also go to the Facebook page and find the link to the YouTube if you can't find it on YouTube. Or the show notes should be on there anyway, because I think they are.
Yes, they are. And you can also go to our blog.
In that case, you will find the links to any video we watched in there. You should. So anything we're talking about, if you want to check it out later and be like, hey, what the fuck were they talking about? You can find a link to it by going to the Facebook or the YouTube.
Absolutely. And also, same thing with the blog.
Oh, the blog.
And, so, yeah, that's just, I don't really remember how we got to that part. But, it's something that's very interesting.
It really is. And at the end of the day, it's not private companies doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
That I've seen, at least. Freedom.
America.
Yeah. Check us out, baddinnerguests.blogspot.com, at baddinnerguests on Twitter, at 60 Degree Radio on Twitter. And that's all I got. Check us out next weekend, more than likely. I think I'm taking this Sunday off.
We're probably going to be taking a little break, but, we might have some stuff out for you throughout the week. So
yeah, hopefully, maybe some Twitch videos of Battlefield. I don't know what Rico's been doing on his thing, or what Lou's been up to.
We definitely have some new Twitch material up there. We got a bit of a backlog as far as the gaming videos go. For those of you into that, it's coming.
Nice. Also, if you happen to make it through this clusterfuck of an episode and would like to be on a different clusterfuck of an episode, send me an email to get on the Bread and Circuses. We're looking for guests to join us. A bunch of us just sit around and drink and talk about what's going on this week and what's happening in the news and a bunch of other stupid shit, but it's a lot of fun. So definitely look on the Facebook or Twitter page for details on how to get a hold of us for that.